So, welcome to the Slice of Time Street Photography Podcast, the podcast in which I explore the work of different street photographers across the world, genres, and visions. This exposes you to different ideas and ways of looking, helping you form your own vision of street photography. Today, I'm joined by Laura Leijnen, a street photographer from, based in Paris, but originally from Flanders, I heard. And her work speaks to me because of her great eye for these little moments and great combinations of subjects and colors. So, hey, Laura, could you perhaps introduce yourself?
Hey, Frederick. I'm really thank you first of all for having me. I'm really pleased to be here. So it's a great honor. Thank you for the introduction. I'm originally from Belgium, but I've been living in France since 15, 16 years now. So I live in the suburbs of Paris, and so Paris is where I shoot most of the time. So I do street photography. I've been shooting since I think like 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and yeah, mainly street photography, but basically anything. I mean, anything candid, anything like live photography, I guess.
Yeah, it's a term I've been hearing more and more, live photography, because as you said, like it's you often do street photography, but at the same time, for example, for me as well, I sometimes, if there is a little party of my niece or something with the family, then of course you also capture those moments. So I can imagine, or on holiday or whatever. So I can imagine that. And so, 4 or 5 years, you said, what brought you into street photography then?
I think Paris, really. So I moved to Paris when in 2019. I didn't know Paris at all. Like for me, Paris was just the Eiffel Tower and that's it. And so I started exploring Paris. I had these little uh, books, the touristic guidebooks. And I was just like walking around and being like, oh, I don't know that monument. I don't know that street. I don't know. Just learning more about Paris. And I was really keen about just learning information. But then gradually I noticed that I didn't really care that much about like what type of building this was or what year that was built in, etc. And I just wanted to just like walk around and just get the Parisian vibes, so to say, and just sitting down for having a coffee and these little moments rather than having facts. And I had like everyone a little camera, but it has like two buttons, the shutter button and just the on and off, and that was basically it. And so I was taking some pictures on my walks, but these were just souvenirs, like touristic pictures. And then gradually I just dropped the guidebook, the tourist guidebook, and I just started losing myself in the Parisian streets, starting to take more and more pictures of just things that caught my eye. And then I think the main trigger was when I went to a photo exhibition. Pure coincidence, like it wasn't something I was really attracted to, but because in Paris there are so many opportunities, to go to an exhibition and to like all these cultural activities are very big. And I went to see the Henri Cartier-Bresson exhibition. Well, one of his exhibitions. I didn't know at all like who he was. Like honestly, it was an unknown name for me. And I think I spent like 2 or 3 hours in the exhibition and being like, wow, like this is something you can do. Like these were pictures I hadn't seen before, like never. And yeah, so I discovered what street photography was, and I discovered you could just freeze time and have these little, like obviously I fell in love with the decisive moment, it was like eye-opening. And then yeah, I walked out of the exhibition. I was like, okay, I need to get a proper camera, And so I bought my first camera. I think that was end of 2021. A very like basic universal camera. I think it was a Nikon D3500 to be like technical terms, DSLR. So I had that for 1 year and was like experimenting and just being excited basically about everything because I was just discovering everything. So everything from just like trying all the buttons and just I don't know, doing blurry stuff and see where that leads, doing, yeah, just discovering everything. And then 1 year after that, trying things out and seeing what I like. I definitely was converging into this thing that you call street photography. And I was like, okay, now I need a maybe a camera that is more adapted to it, because I felt like the DSLR was too big, too heavy, it made noise, which isn't the best thing for street photography. And so then I got my Fuji, so Fuji X100 MV. Absolutely love it, and I've been shooting with that ever since. Yeah.
That's cool. So before the exhibition, you'd never done anything like photography wise? Like you
No.
had your camera, of course, with you, but you didn't have like you weren't reading books about anything photography related or something. It was really like the exhibition was the entrance into. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
no, nothing
immediately
at
Henri
all.
Cartier-Bresson.
Yeah. No. Actually, but it's easy. It's even the opposite, because I wasn't interested in photography at all. It was something I didn't like at all. It was just taking some pictures when I was on holidays, like everyone, I guess. But my mom always takes pictures, and so I never took pictures because she was always taking pictures, family events, and she has these huge photo books she made and all that. And so sometimes it was even too much, it's like, oh, so like so many pictures, like just stop taking pictures and enjoy the moment. And but then, yeah, that gradually changed. And yeah, I can, yeah, definitely the exhibition was eye-opening, as you say.
That's cool. Wow. Okay. And then because, yeah, you mentioned, of course, being there for several hours studying his work. But to me, your work doesn't feel like Henri Cartier-Bresson inspired. It's totally different. First of all, of course, because of the obvious reason between his work is purely black and white and yours is mostly color. So did you then start like a search into different street photographers, or did you just find the definition of street photography and totally made it your own thing on your own?
No, yeah, no, I definitely I went into like looking up like different street photographers. And at the beginning, Henri Cartier-Bresson definitely was a big influence. I loved his neat compositions. I loved the decisive moment. I loved like how clean it was, how well prepared it seemed. And to me, when I first looked at his pictures, I was like, oh, he must have like such a great sense of observation, because for me, you just walked into the scene, saw this thing unfolding, and just snapped a picture at the exact time. But then also later on, I had some. I loved looking at the contact sheets, and when you see like all these moments, and it's it's not really the decisive moment. It's just he took different pictures and he tried different angles as well, and he tried different moments, and it's just that one picture that he took. So I really love that, because it made him more like human, more realistic. It was reassuring to know that he as well, like such a great photographer, was just trying things. And so yeah, big influence. Another, well, I think others at the beginning, like um other photographers that had very clean compositions. I fell into Sol later as well, who I discovered. Ernst Haas for his color, obviously. William Klein later on. But then at the beginning, I didn't really like William Klein because of how chaotic it was sometimes and how his frames were packed. But then more and more, I was going towards something like that, where it wasn't no more like the clean compositions and everything in focus. And so I think, yeah, it's like my photography now is very far away from the Henri Cartier-Bresson geometry and all that. And now I'm evolving, I think, towards something that is more about what it feels than what it looks like. That is more about, I think, I hope, intuition, and more about the moment itself, and less about, okay, thinking about I try to think the least possible, and trying to shoot as as much like instinct based as possible. And I do some black and white because yeah, you mentioned I do some black and white, but it's mainly color for me.
Yeah, I saw, yeah, on your website, because there's one page in about black and white photography, and all the rest is, well, it doesn't really mention color photography, but it's all in color anyway. And so that's why I was curious, like, do you prefer, because of course you do very strong color work, so it makes sense that you like to photograph in color. So is that something that just attracts you, or is that something you're more, um, yeah, it attracts you more, colors?
Yeah, it does. It does. I think it gives more information. It and just some colors are just too beautiful not to photograph, you know. So, and one of well, it's a good question because there are so many photographers whose work I admire and who are black and white photographers. So I think about I don't know, looking at my shelf. I'm thinking about Robert Frank. I'm thinking about Bruce Davidson. I'm thinking about yeah, William Klein, who I mentioned. But I think there's a lot to learn by looking at black and white photography because there's a lot of focus on contrast. There's a lot of focus on forms, a lot of just the moment itself. And I think like even if you do color photography, you can take away a lot of that. And yeah, but as I mentioned, Ernst Haas is great with his colors, and that really attracted me. And nowadays, it's mainly color. But then if I have to, if the photo really isn't working in color, I will switch to black and white. And sometimes when I take the picture, I often already know that it will be a black and white picture just because it will work better because it will have, I don't know, maybe something mysterious about it or something. There's a little like series I've been working on which is only black and white, so I know it will fit into that. And yeah, but then also I am another photographer I really like. I feel like I'm name dropping a lot maybe, but is the is Jeff Mermelstein. I don't know if you've heard about of him. Uh, so he is a New York based street photographer, and it's just everything like when you think about New York and all the moments you can get in New York, that's what he was taking. So and that was in color. So yeah, it's just it makes more sense to me to shoot in color. Definitely.
Yeah, it makes sense. To me as well, I prefer color, but I know, like, there are a lot of people who, for example, Henri Cartier-Bresson was an notorious color hater. But yeah, it's always a personal decision, and I find it interesting to the why. And as you mentioned, I do um, lean into black and white photography as well, because as you said, like, you can learn a lot from it compositionally, for contrast, for subjects. I find it easier to see light in black and white because
Hmm.
you're not distracted by colors as much. It's really just light or no light. Um, so it is easier, but yeah, at some point I prefer the color added into it, and as well because of your work, yeah, you really spot the the monochromous scenes, or the more contrasting color scenes. So there's like very strong elements of colors in your photos, and I like that a lot, which
Thanks.
isn't easy to spot as well. I appreciated it a lot because I know how difficult it is to get those colors right. And of course, it's getting those colors right is observing the right moments. So yeah. And then I was wondering, are you someone who shoots from the hip, or are you more of a uh, 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 do you always look through the viewfinder, or what's your photographic style in that sense?
That really depends, but it's mostly just walking around and shooting. I rarely look through the viewfinder. It's also because I wear glasses, so it's not really practical to look through the viewfinder. So I look a lot on the screen. Like usually when I shoot, I look at the screen. But there are many times as well where I don't look at all. I will just snap a picture very quickly, or I know where because I've been shooting now since for 4 years with the same focal length, which is a 35 millimeter. So I kind of know roughly where the frame is. So I don't always have to look through the screen. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I walk a lot. I don't like standing still and waiting for something to come into the frame. If sometimes I will do it, but it's very rare. And if I do, it's maybe 15 minutes maximum that I will wait for something to come around. Um, I will stand still as well if there's a scene, like there's one spot, but there are several things happening. Then I I I I like to take some time and trying new angles, trying like observing the scene and working the scene. To quote a friend of mine who we were like talking about it, um, trying to see what you can do with all this, trying to see where the light is coming from, trying to see what the people are doing, trying to anticipate what they will do. And so yeah, I think I shoot the way I have to shoot in order to get the picture, if that makes sense. So there are times as well where I might interact with people, like I might say something to them afterwards, or I might say something when I'm taking the picture, or it depends. There are times as well where I feel like I need to be more discreet because maybe there will be some interaction that won't be like positive, I guess. So yeah, it really depends. It really depends. But walking a lot for sure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because you get very, very up close to your subjects often as well. So I was wondering as well about the interaction, because of course here and there you have someone looking into the camera, but it can just naturally happen, of course. But do you, as you said, like sometimes you already talk during the interaction, never before or before taking the photo, sorry,
That's very
or
rare.
or
So yeah, that's very. It might be like when they see me. So with the pictures that you see that where people are looking directly towards me, that is just because they saw me, and either because I wanted them to see me, so I was obviously there. Sometimes I will position myself in front of them so they see me. That might sometimes be at the last like second, kind of like if there's someone walking towards me, I might be anticipating the shot and then at the last moment being in front of them and then taking the picture. And then obviously they will see me, and there might be just like a smile, like a recognition.
there might be a
Yeah,
reaction, yeah.
or just like hello, and then I just that's all. I rarely like really like take time to like actually like explain myself or talk, etc. If they ask, I will, but usually just a smile or hello, or that's enough, and then I go my way, and that's it. I do sometimes take some portraits, or if I want to take a small detail, I don't know, of something, I might ask them, but that happens very rarely. That might happen maybe once, like if I go out to shoot, that might happen maybe once during my 3 hour walk. I don't know. So
Okay, that's cool. And then do you go out often because you have a big catalog of photos on your website, I already see. And of course, those moments, they don't happen all the time. So is it like a very big routine or?
yeah. Yes, thanks. Yeah, I wish they would happen all the time, but that's not the case. So yeah, not being living in the suburbs of Paris, I can't go out every day to shoot, sadly enough. But also maybe luckily enough, because that way, whenever I go to Paris, I still feel like a tourist. Like I feel half tourist, but half knowing like I feel like a local tourist kind of. And I think that's a good thing because I still have this enthusiasm towards Paris and this, oh, this is nice, this is nice. So usually I go out uh, maybe once or twice a week, usually an afternoon when I don't work. But then when I'm on holidays, I will go out a bit more. I'm a teacher, so I have a lot of holidays, so that's good. So I have like a lot of free time during my holidays when I can to go out shooting. But yeah, otherwise it's one afternoon, sometimes during the weekend. And I really love those those moments. And I usually come back with at least a picture that I like. It doesn't mean it's a good picture, but I usually come back with something that I like. Um, and and yeah, and then there are all the events, you know, like in Paris there will be the carnival. Recently there was the fashion week, there will be Chinese New Year, there are all these things, and it's a nice way as well to get together with all the other street photographers from Paris, which is very nice as well. Yeah, but then also I don't have to be in Paris to shoot. I've been shooting a lot as well at home, more and more, taking pictures just at home of my cats, my girlfriend, just walking around everywhere. And I think this has become an important something as well because before it was only when I went to Paris that I took pictures, but now there is no limit anymore. So even if I see friends or family, I will always have the camera with me. And I really like the fact that I can take a picture anywhere. It doesn't mean I will because not every, I mean, but it's nice to know that I can, that the opportunity is there.
And so that makes me curious. Do you, if you photograph, like, for example, your friends or family, or is it within the same style as your street photography, which is, of course, very like the colors and the moments, or do you handle that differently then?
No, it's kind of the same. It's because I really like the candid aspect of street photography. So most of my pictures are candid. I don't ask people to take well, to pose and do this and do that. And I do the same with my friends and my family. Because well, first of all, I like the fact that you can snap these little moments without them knowing, and that makes it sometimes more genuine because it's really nice to have that expression or that something that is so true to that person, you know, when you get the picture and you're like, oh yeah, but he does this all the time or he has this expression all the time. And so getting that um spontaneously is for me stronger than getting it when you ask for a portrait, and that might be different. um and also because I don't want to interrupt all the time, like, oh, can you just like hang on, can you just like do that again, or can you just, so I don't like that at all. So it's just, okay, I'm here with my camera, you did something, I took a picture, you did something, I didn't take the picture, but I don't want to interrupt the flow or anything. And yeah, but it also means that I'm sometimes, well, I've always been an, an observer and sometimes an outsider, like observing the group dynamic and observing the conversations and just enjoying it but differently. And I feel like now that that I've started photography, it makes more sense as well. Like I really um, I accept this position of outsider and observer, and I let myself sometimes just take a step back and just take pictures of my family and my friends. And because I have the camera, I can do that. It's less weird than
Yeah.
than not partaking at all. And it's also just a pleasure to be able to give some pictures back and see that they react happily to it. And yeah, I didn't think I would be taking pictures of my family and friends, but I've been doing it more and more. And these projects are so different from, well, I feel that they're very different from what I, well, they're at the same time very different from what I do in the streets, but they also like in that kind of style as well. It's like the same but not the same.
Yeah. I can imagine how that will work. Um, to me, it's yeah. Sometimes it's just that you look, of course, for similar things, but of course, yeah, family. The moments you want to capture are different than the people on the street, because it's like a nice memory to have, while on the street, of course, it's like a nice moment that's just interesting, or so I can imagine, yeah, it's the same but different. So and for example, because I was wondering, there's this one photo on your website, it's on the selected works. For example, there's this woman with a pink lollipop with like the blue sky
Yeah.
behind it. With is that like shot from the hip then, or is it? Did you talk with them, or how did this? Because that's very up close, very very well composed image as well, very dramatic angle. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up that picture because it's one I took recently and it's one I really like. Um, so well, to get like the entire context of the picture, it was a blue sky in Paris, which is amazing because it's not often the case. And I've been working on some pictures with trees and with skies and with clouds, a bit of that. So I've been looking out a bit more for trees. And so this tree was very beautiful with the blue sky behind it. And then I saw this girl standing just in front of it. And at the moment when I was about to take the picture, she had the lollipop in her mouth. So I didn't know it was pink. She just had like a little stick, well, in her mouth. And I always love these kind of funny moments, when you go like, oh, there's this. And so I just took what I think I took only one picture, maybe two. And so I saw her and I got my camera ready and I got close, I knelt, I took the picture, and as chance might have it, when I took the picture, she took out the lollipop and she looked at me and that was it. And then that was a picture and there was no interaction at all. I think I might have smiled, I don't know, and then and that was it. It's just it made me think about this because we always say like action reaction, like something happens and you react to it. But now I've been thinking about like taking it like the other way around. It's like maybe it is reaction action. Like when maybe there are things that might take place, but it's because you pressed the shutter that it took place. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So it's something that you might not even anticipate, but you take the picture, but then when you're taking the picture, they do something that you didn't even anticipate. So maybe you react before that they act, and it's something I've been thinking about recently. I don't know how it will develop, but I think I trust I start to trust people to do things like weird things that I wouldn't anticipate. Not even weird, but just things where because I'm I'm kind of convinced that people might surprise me more than I can imagine them to react. So and shooting on shooting digitally, it doesn't cost anything just to try. And obviously with this, well, I take a lot of pictures. So 99% of the time there might be someone coming and then I might think, oh, maybe they will do something because they look interesting. Maybe there will be something, and I might click and nothing happens, and then that's okay. Then I'll throw the picture away, and that's okay. But maybe one chance out of 100, like with this girl, they might actually do something which I hadn't even anticipated. Like I wasn't anticipating that the lollipop would be pink, but I love that it's pink because it goes with the blue sky, and and
Yeah, and the light
it
hits
yeah,
it nicely. So
yeah. So it's luck. It's luck, but it's created luck. It's because you're doing it all the time. Your
yeah,
probability goes up.
exactly. Yeah, it's luck, but you're lucky because you're out there, and you're lucky because you know what might happen, and you can anticipate those moments. So that, yeah, it is kind of street photography. There's kind of luck, but it's also as you said, created like you if you're not going out, you won't be seeing as many interesting scenes. And so yeah, it it resonated with me that you mentioned the anticipation, or that you think something might happen, because I have some photos as well that I just shot instinctively, and then afterwards you see like, oh, that's the patterns match up, or the colors match up, or the person did something that made it even better. So it's, yeah, sometimes it's, I'm not gonna say hoping for the best, but it's kind of similar to getting hoping for the best.
You always have to hope for the best, because otherwise you won't get anything.
No, true. And I also learned, and I think it's the same with you, that you need to shoot a lot. So I followed like a workshop last year, and I always, I think I mentioned him in every episode so far, but they told me to, like, everything is interesting. So just photograph everything. And of course, yeah, at the end of the day, you have a card full of like 900 photos, of which 5 are good or useful. But it's the trying things out that makes those 5 happen as well.
Mhm.
I think. And so, yeah, you mentioned being a teacher. So I was, to me, like, street photography is a quiet, peaceful moment, and I can imagine being a teacher with all the kids is chaos. So in one way, does it? And of course, your photos, maybe, I'm not gonna say they're chaotic, but they're in chaotic places and moments, I think. Um, and so does that, like, is there a, do you find yourself gravitating towards, for example, I see some kids, but not always kids, to subjects because of your school, or is it something you shy away from because of school, or?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, there's no link at all, I think, between me being a teacher and taking picture of kids. I don't, well, there are some pictures of kids, but not that many. I try not to take kids for the obvious reasons. But if there is a good picture, I will take it. That's for sure. Um, I'm not banning myself from taking pictures of anything. So that there are no limits, kind of. The chaos in my class is okay. The pupils are good, so that's okay. But I'm definitely attracted to chaos in the streets. I love it. The more people that are outside, the more I love it. So for me the best times in Paris is when there are events, like the carnival, or the New Year, or the Fashion Week, or anything. Um, just because I, I love the crowd, and I love the movement of the crowd, and I love how, well, we talked about probability before. Like, obviously, if you put the more people you put in one space, the higher your chances of getting a good picture. And I also love the fact that you can control anything. The more people that are moving, the more elements that are moving, the less you can control the scene. And the less I control the scene, I think the more I like it, because once again, I hope that people will do stuff which I didn't think. Like, obviously, I try to. This seems like I don't do anything at all, but I try to anticipate. I try to have some ideas in my mind, and just, as you said, hope for the best. But I really, yeah, put all my faith in the people I take photos of, to do something unexpected, something that doesn't feel forced, and something that feels genuine and authentic, because they did it. And I've been playing. Well, we spoke about this, I think, before the interview, about layering and chaos, and it's something I have done a lot, trying to get as many elements into the frame, which is called layering, because you add a layer on top of a layer on top of another layer, and it's an absolutely thrilling exercise experience, because when everything lines up, it's just incredible. If you go like, oh, this person is doing this, and at the same time we've got this person entering the frame, and then we got this person doing something, and it's just magic. It's all this adrenaline that you get when you press that shutter button, and everything is right. It's like, wow. But then, so I've been doing that a lot, and But now recently, I feel like I have to step away from that because it was becoming, um, I feel like layering can quickly become just an exercise, just something where it is okay, look how many things I've been able to put into a frame. And then, okay, so you've got many things going on into a frame, but what does it actually say? If is it just visually appealing? Is it just okay? Look what I've been able to do, or does it go further than that? I mean, if you have a series of something that you and that is something that you need to convey a message, I think that is great. But if it's just to show what you can do. So I've been trying to step away from that and asking myself like what do I want to shoot? And now I think my pictures have less layers in them. They still do because something it's still something that will add something sometimes to the storytelling. But not always. So I still shoot a lot of chaos, but the chaos might not always be visible in the frame. Like I might be somewhere where it's chaotic, but I might just benefit from this chaos, benefit from this buzz from this crowd, just to get other pictures or just to heighten my chances of getting a picture.
Yeah, that makes sense. And is it because it felt kind of like a trick at some point, like just like a formula you could apply and then it worked and it didn't feel like genuine, like or personal, or yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because you yeah, it became kind of a formula, kind of even kind of a game where you have this formula and you go like, okay, I got four things into a frame. What if I can get five? What if I can get six? And also I because of so many people who are doing it. I mean, but obviously no offense and no. I try not to judge, but the whenever I see something that so many people are doing, I don't want to do it anymore. I feel like I cannot add something
no, yeah,
like it's I've been seeing it so much that I just cannot do it anymore. So I've been trying to step away from that. But that doesn't mean like probably pictures I'm taking now are also pictures that other people might be like, oh, I've seen that before. So sometimes you think you're doing something new, but it's just new to you. It might not be new to other people. Um, but um, but yeah, anyhow, when I see something too much, I will try to do something else. Or when that also happens, it makes me think of when, like I talked about the events when where there are a lot of street photographers, and it's funny because we've been talking about this with other street photographers and how we are always surprised because we think that we will all end up with these same pictures because we were all in the same place, but eventually because everyone is trying well is taking pictures of the same scene, you have to be more original, like you have to think more and be like, okay, that person is taking, I don't know, with a flash that picture, and so maybe I will go for slow shutter speed. I mean, now I'm speaking about technical things, but I know that this has forced me to do sometimes something else, to take a picture differently, just because I'm seeing like people shooting the same picture, and I'm like, okay, I don't. If I take if I just stand beside them and I take the picture, it will be exactly the same. So what can I do to make a different picture? And I think that's like a healthy competition as well. So uh, so yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but I can't remember the
no,
question.
I kind of forgot the question by now, to be honest, but it's a good explanation anyway. So it made me think because I was at this event in Antwerp as well recently. But to me, it was the reverse. Like I thought, like, oh, this is such. I went into the event with an idea, and I thought it was such a good idea. And then afterwards, I did get a better shot, but I also saw all the other photographers that at the event, like on their Instagram, I saw that they executed my idea that I had before. So it was like it wasn't an original idea. It was just the obvious one, and I was too focused on it. So it's funny that yeah, it can work both ways
Mhm.
anyway. But and then I was wondering because you mentioned meeting up with street photographers a few times now. Is that like the community part a big thing for you, or is it more something that just sometimes happens? Or
No, it is. It is a big part. Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, more often than not, when I go out shooting, I shoot by myself, and that's important because it's my time as well. It's my day off or afternoon off, and it's really important for me to have that time off, and also just to shoot. If you're shooting on your own, it's different than shooting if you're a 10. That's just not possible. So when I shoot with people, it might be well the best would be just be two or three other people, so with some friends. That is great. If the group is too big, sometimes that happens, but it's you know that you will just end up just talking. You might not get any picture, and that's okay. And obviously, yeah, living in Paris or near Paris, there is a big street community, and that is just amazing. I don't think I would be here now if it wasn't for that community. So there are some very inspiring people for sure. There was a brand new street, well, female street community as well now, which is Women in Street France. So that is brand new. So very excited about that as well. Shout out to all of them if they might listen. And they have a big influence on me, and they have a big it's more than influence. It's just they are friends, and I know that um, there are some experiences that are even more important than photography. If you catch up and you talk about, well, not only photography but I think life. I It's just like, oh hey, when you do you want to hang out and drink coffee and just walk for 3 hours, and we might be taking some pictures now. It's really nice, and I'm very lucky to have these people around me who can, who are there.
oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have these community moments, I find as well, and also because you can learn a lot from it, and at the same time you can just and it's funny that you do these photo walks sometimes together. For example, with events, I do like being there together with like a few people, as you said, but then you just go on yourself and bump into each other sometimes. Yeah, because otherwise, of course, yeah, you're more talking than photographing, and it's well, not a waste of time, but it's probably not why you're at the event. Um, so you mentioned the women of the women in street France. So I did have a question about it because it's just like how important it is to you, or is it useful to have these collectives? Because of course you can learn a lot from it. Did you find yourself experimenting with your photography because of because you mentioned doing longer shutter speeds, for example, if you see someone using a flash? Is that something that pushes you to go further than joining those? I'm not sure to call it a collective or group or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
um I'm not I'm not sure I get the question, but um what I'm thinking about is, for example, for example, flash photography. I didn't used to shoot flash, but then seeing other people use it when I'm walking with them definitely made me get out of my comfort zone and trying it. So when you're walking with someone who uses Flash and you see that people react okay to it, you go like, okay, let's give this a try. And so that's how I started out Flash photography. Well, I don't use a lot of Flash, but now I know that if I want to, I can use it, and I will use it on the street if I need to, if something is in the shadow, if something needs to pop out. And yeah, that really helped me. Like, actually, I think that's a big inspiration for me as well, to see people take pictures. It might sound like very obvious, but just see how they do it, and how they do it. It's really like, oh, okay, I can do this as well. And that goes for, yeah, flash photography, any other techniques, probably. I didn't know how to, well, I didn't use zone focusing, for example, and that was a major difference as well when I switched to that because of a photographer who used it. And yeah, who so I learned to use it, and now I zone focus. I mainly zone focus or manual focus, um, and that helped a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine that's been a very important technique for your style. So it's funny. I tried flash photography one time, like 2 months ago, and as you said, people don't really react to being flashed. It's to me it was a surprise because I thought it was getting darker. It was snowing, so that's why I used the flash, and I thought it was very obvious, but only one person noticed, and it was because she was in entirely like high vis, her coat. So when I flashed, she like entirely popped like white.
That must be great.
So that's why she noticed. Yeah, it was a nice photo, but that's why she noticed, and she just smiled to me and walked on. So that's yeah. But it was yeah. To me, it was a surprise because I didn't know her coat was made of the material.
Hmm.
So yeah. But it's because you see people do these things exactly as you say, like on photo walks, on workshops, or just one to one. That can be very insightful, and that's why I also do this podcast, because sometimes just hearing someone speak about, like for example, you with the zone focusing and not being too shy with people and not being too patient as well, which is something that I have. Like you just walk, can be like comforting, like, okay, I'm doing the right thing, or maybe that can be interesting to try as well. So that's definitely like interact with other photographers, because street photography, we always do this, or usually we do this alone. Um, so it's fun to interact. Um, and so did you at first, when you found out about street photography, like let's circle back to the start again. So you're doing all this research on street photographers. Did you like dive in on YouTube? Did you Google for local communities, or how did you then end up with the communities you're in now?
I think at first it was a lot of videos. I love the point of view. The point of view videos where you see people
Yeah.
shoot and walk at the same time. I was a big fan. I'm still a big fan of the channels of Mike Chudley. He's probably the reason I got a X100 MV, because he was shooting at it with the time. Now he's with Leica, so that's another level. That's something else. Um, no,
A next step for your investment.
yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm disappointed. He's now a Leica guy and not a Fuji guy, but it's okay. I still like his channel.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, the walkie-talkies of Pauli B. I'm a big fan of that as well. And then gradually photo books as well. I absolutely love photo books. So I've got a lot of them. There is a library in Paris where you can just sit down and flip through photo books. It's amazing. They've got all these rare photo books which cost so much if you want to buy them second-handed. So yeah, photo books definitely. Going on, listening to podcasts. I love hearing photographers talk about their creative process, and then going on their website and discovering their work. Um, and yeah, that's how I. But yeah, a lot of videos, a lot of photo books, a lot of magazines, a lot of reading, a lot of just yeah, a lot of obsession.
Yeah. I think that's how a lot of us get sucked in. And so I had a question, but now I lost it. Which I do have sometimes. But I was also you're not a Leica fan, or are you not really? It's
No,
just a joke, or
I said that no, it's a joke. It's okay. I'm just I really like I really like Fuji. I like the colors of it. I use a Kodachrome filter that I have as a preset, so I really like that. And I try.
oh, okay. And so you don't really edit your photos then?
I do. I still added
Okay.
the raw version, but I apply the filter that I have. It's always the same one that I will. change a bit if I need to, like the light and the shadows and the contrast. But yeah, it's always the same preset. And I tried shooting with a Leica during a workshop. I like the fact that you have the zone focusing like on the in front of you, like you can actually see it on the camera. Whereas on my Fuji, it's on the screen, so that's less easy. But I think that the Leica is very heavy. I like my Fuji because it's not as heavy to take around everywhere. And for me, just I like the Fuji colors. If Leica had something that I love more, I would take it. But it's not. I think well, the most important is to have a camera with which you like to shoot, and the pickup ability, like how much do you want to pick it up and go out with it and shoot. And if it's a Fuji, okay. If it's a Leica, okay. If it's something, if it's your phone, then
True.
okay. I think nowadays there are so many, like all cameras, probably like in technical terms, they're all kind of the same. Although nowadays, if you invest properly, you will have something that will produce good pictures quality
Yeah.
wise. So the main difference is just what do you like to have in your hand, and what do you. I like the buttons on the Fuji, and it's more manual. I like that, but it doesn't matter. It's whatever you
No,
you like.
true. And so you mentioned earlier you use the 35 millimeter mostly. Is that just like because you have one lens and that's the lens, or did you try different lenses, or?
Yeah, it's the one lens I have, and it's the one I shoot the most with. I tried a 28 as well because I still have a Ricoh GR, which is a 28,
Ah, yeah.
and I like the fact that it's wider, so you can get more things into the frame if there are more things happening. And I thought I would like a 28 better, but for the moment the 35 is perfect because I found myself even with the 28 cropping a bit the image, so basically going back to
Mm.
a 35.
Yeah.
So for the moment the
Made sense
35,
to just use a
yeah.
35. Yeah.
So for the moment, big fan of a 35, but maybe later on I will go to a 28. Maybe I will go to a 50. Maybe I don't know. I don't know where it will take me.
Yeah. But I like that you're a prime lens user as well, because for me it's like I have a 28 and a 40 millimeter, and I depends on what I photograph. Like 40 millimeter is more day to day, and then 28 is more, for example, for zone focusing or for shooting from the hip, kind of crowded events kind of stuff. So it's nice to hear that you're as well of just like, this is what I use. And because to me it's like you have people with zoom lenses, and it's crazy to me because you just get too many choices,
Yeah.
and I don't shoot then.
Yeah. No, I felt that when I bought the Fuji, I needed a prime lens. I needed something like only one lens, and because to me it's very important to anticipate the frame. So now I can't say for sure this will be the frame, but I know approximately, okay, this will be
Yeah.
into the frame. And that is just so important because you will be quicker to take the shot. You will be better at taking the shot because you have already the frame in mind. And it's what you say as well. Well, too much choice. It's not good. I always say the same thing. Which wait, I have to get it in English, but I think it will be something like creativity comes from constraints. Creativity comes from limits.
Yeah.
And so only having the 35 millimeter, it's a limit, but because you only have that, you have to do something else. Well, it's not, no, say if I want to shoot something very far away, maybe I have to think about how I will shoot that or how I will do something with that. Um, and it helps you evolve, and it clears your mind as well because you only have that option. So you're not like juggling between, oh, what do I do? What do I do? It's just, okay, you have that and you work with it. And that also means that some
Yeah.
shots, maybe you will not, you might not take some shots just because with 35, some shots are impossible, but that's okay. That might be one shot in 1 year that you want to get, and that's okay. I took a 35 millimeter because when I looked at the pictures I took with my zoom, which was an 1855 millimeter, I realized that I was always hitting like somewhere in between, you know. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, why not just get a 35? And I might sometimes need a 80, but if it's once in a year, that's okay. I will just not take the picture, and my life will still go on, you know.
Exactly, yeah. So that's maybe a good lesson to end on. It's constraints are good for creativity. So thank you, Laura, for your time and insights. And then of course, if anyone wants to follow Laura, you can find her links in the description. Also make sure, of course, to follow the podcast on whatever platform you prefer. And feel free to share this podcast with friends who might be interested in hearing about Laura's work. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.